Last week, the New York Post reported about homeless veterans being forcibly kicked out of a hotel in order to house migrants. Oh, those scary, scary migrants from down south. Now, this was spread by a local nonprofit called the YIT Foundation. It found its way, thanks to the New York Post and other conservative outlets, across the conservative griftosphere. And boy, people were pretty mad. Now, funny enough, this story, this entire lie, had to be unraveled by a Republican state assemblyman in New York City. Funny enough. So now, Brian Maher, who, again, I don't agree with on a lot of issues. He's a Republican. But one thing he says is, I care about the veterans. Okay, so he decided that he was going to put his money where his mouth is. When he heard about this, he decided to meet with the CEO of the nonprofit YIT Foundation, which again claims to help homeless veterans, unhoused veterans. And so Maher spoke with the CEO, Sharon Tony Finch. While there, Maher had spoken with two people claiming to be veterans who were displaced from the Crossroads Hotel in Newburgh. Now, they said that they had received 110 migrants sent by New York City and displaced 20 veterans. Oh my God. The veterans are being kicked out for the migrants. Now, he then also had spoken to a purported driver who had allegedly transported the displaced veterans. He then assembled care packages and solicited donations after the nonprofit had asked Maher for his help. It was only later on that he realized he had been bamboozled. Shocker, I say. But no, actually, here's the thing. Apparently, the homeless veterans, they were homeless, but they were paid by the YIT Foundation to pretend to be veterans. So, yeah, not only is that gross, but it's a gross level of exploitation of people who are unhoused. So, wow. Now, a GOP source in the state assembly had provided to the Times Union an image of a copy of what they initially said was Tony Finch's credit card, as well as what was purported to be a receipt showing payment with that credit card on April 12th for $37,800 to Crossroads Hotel. That was also sent to the GOP assemblyman Maher as proof the hotel rooms had been booked and paid for by the foundation. That receipt looked a little sketchy. So he decided to follow up with Tony Finch and said, hey, look, let's just get some documentation and make sure that this is on the up and up. This is actually helping veterans because I should do care about them. And I want to see that this, money, it got where it's supposed to go. Problem is, she never showed up. He then followed up, called her, and she had admitted in a phone call where she had gotten very emotional that she basically made up this entire story and then claimed, I only did it so I could help the veterans. Oh, okay, so you're saying that you're going to help the veterans by lying about this and hating on migrants. Again, I told you that this story went viral among the right wing. You had the New York Post, you had the Washington Times, and of course, I'm going to show you here Fox News and their coverage of it.
The Crossroads Hotel in the town of Newburgh, New York, evicting some homeless veterans to make room for asylum seekers. And then you had a couple about to get married getting a very unwelcome surprise. Lydia Hu, Fox Business, is live in Newburgh. Sorry. It can't be good for business. Lydia, hello.
Hey there, Bill. That's right. Not good for business. This couple from Florida tells me that their wedding is next month, but they're already getting word from the hotel that hotel rooms that they had booked for their guests is already going to be canceled. That couple, as you can imagine, now scrambling to make alternative accommodations. And 20 homeless veterans were evicted from temporary housing last week to make room for 60 migrant males that are being sent from the city to here.
60 migrant males. Notice how she really kind of stressed the migrant males, and then throwing in that weird story about the couple that's getting married. They have to find different accommodations. Oh my God, this is terrible. What a terrible thing. Well, it turns out all of that was complete and utter bullshit. A lie. Just an absolute lie. Again, the people who claim to be veterans were not actually veterans, and the woman who was running this nonprofit organization had fessed up to a Republican congressman who's like, I got to report this, you know. He's like, what you did was not okay. And by the way, this Republican assemblyman had been bringing this woman around, introducing her into the state house, saying, what a hero. She cares so much for the veterans. And he's got complete and utter egg on his face as a result of her lying to him. Now, I don't blame him for being angry. And you know, because he was, again, bamboozled by this person who obviously lied. So now, let's get to more details on this, which are even more damning. So now, the right wing likes to say, oh, they don't care about, nobody cares about the veterans, the unhoused veterans. Nobody's doing anything. In fact, the Biden administration, they hate the veterans. They prefer the illegals, the migrants. So when this story came out, there were a lot of organizations, including the VA, which reached out to say, whoa, homeless veterans, we're going to do something. In fact, according to the Times-Union, the offers were, all of them, were rebuffed. Quote, the VA's request for identification and contact information for the veterans, which would allow the agency to verify the veteran's service history and benefits eligibility and to provide independent follow-up care, were declined by YIT. The day after the Post story broke, U.S. Representative Pat Ryan's office also contacted YIT, saying that it had arranged 500 rooms across a region that could take any veterans who needed housing. He had no response. Oops. Chris Molinelli, the executive director of Honor, an emergency housing shelter in Middleton, and president of the Orange County Continuum of Care, said members of his organization were shocked to hear that there were any unhoused veterans living in Orange County, let alone 20 living in the Crossroads Hotel. The Continuum of Care reached out to YIT to offer assistance, but Molinelli said their help was not accepted. On and on. So many organizations ended up reaching out to help. None of them got any response because it was a scam. Now, it's one thing for, again, this scam to happen. What's worse is the unintended consequences of telling this spinning this yarn. In fact, the Crossroads Hotel ended up getting inundated with death threats. An attorney for the hotel told a state Supreme Court justice that, quote, my client and their staff are receiving serious threats, including death threats from all over the country as a result of this false accusation. And this morning, the staff at the hotel were forced to call 911 to seek protection against someone who was menacing the staff at the hotel, claiming that he was looking for the veterans. Boy, that really reminds me of the Comet Pizza, doesn't it? Where again, during the whole Pizzagate thing, you had these right-wingers going into the Comet Pizza armed with guns. And in this case, there wasn't a gun as far as I know. I'm looking for the children. I gotta save the children. Now, this person shows up. I'm looking for the veterans. What did you do? Where are the migrants? First of all, there were no veterans. There were no unhoused veterans staying in the hotel, and there were no migrants there. Nobody was there. So it was just all a lie. Understand, though, this is what happens when conservative media goes and spreads disinformation. This is what happens. I mean, again, you have a clear racist lie. Oh, you're replacing the veterans with the illegals. You're putting up the illegals in hotels. But what about the homeless veterans? No, it's not true. It's not happening. I'm not saying that we couldn't do better for veterans. Of course we can. There's always ways that we can improve the lives of people. There's definitely always ways we can improve people's, material conditions. The VA needs a lot of work. Okay? But at the same time, we also don't have to choose. We can also help migrants. I know. We don't have to pit these groups against each other like the right wing wants. They're all human beings. They all deserve housing. They all deserve help. They all deserve food. They all deserve a fair chance at life. To living a good life. You can do both. And that's what makes this more tragic, by the way. Because getting back to the motivation here. Apparently, this, woman who was running this organization thought that, in order for me to get help for the veterans, and this is putting it in the most charitable way possible, which again is a real issue. Veterans do need help. She's going to lie about migrants and spread this disgusting right-wing smear against a hotel. Make it into us versus them. Again, the right does it all the time. The illegals, they're coming over, they're taking your job, they're taking your jobs. They're my jobs, you're taking the jobs. No, they're not. No, they're not taking things from you. But unfortunately, the right wing, that's the only thing they care about. The right wing media is getting people outraged. It's the only thing that sells anymore. And that's an incredibly sad indictment of today's right wing culture.